Hello students, welcome to the class. We were discussing the unit solutions from our earlier videos. We completed all the theoretical concepts and the numerical problems on the unit. In this class, we'll try to focus on the weightage of the unit and the questions asked from previous year examination as well as from the PU model papers, which will be helpful for our preparation for board exam. How exactly the questions have been asked from the concepts, what we have learned, we'll try to go through in this class. If you have learned the concepts taught, so it will be more easy for you to follow the class. The material of this is already shared, the PDF of the previous year question bank. So try to follow that. Whatever the doubts you are having, now follow in the class. So still if it remains, so you can share the queries. So we'll try to discuss that again. Before going to the discussion, we'll try to consider the weightage for the PU board exam. The unit is having 8 hours of teaching with 7 marks weightage for the final exam. There will be 2 1-mark questions will be asked and 1 5-mark question will be asked. And if you take the final exam paper, the first 2 questions, that is question number 1 and 2, so in the part A, it is from the unit solution. And question number 28, that is in the part D, 4th main, the first question there, so will be from the solutions again. So in that 5 marks, from the syllabus introduced here, the first exam of the new syllabus as per NCERT, so taken from the PU board. They have asked a 3-mark numerical problem on colligative properties to calculate the molar mass of the solute, and the remaining 2 mark as a sub question from the other topics. So it is from March 2014 till the last exam, March 2020, they have asked the same. That is a numerical problem of 3 mark from colligative properties. So in the PU model papers and all, the questions will be other than this also, which will be helpful for our revisions. So we'll try to focus that. Before going to the 5-mark questions, first we'll concentrate on 1-mark questions. So the unit is having nearly 20% of weightage for 1-mark questions. That is for part A, the weightage is 20%. So if you want to score a very good mark, especially those who are desiring to get complete out of 8 mark, you should not neglect the 1-mark weightage units. So you need to read it as a compulsory unit. My suggestion for you to learn 1-mark questions in a better way is that, so follow the classes. Once the class concepts are clear, so complete the NCERT textbook of 1-mark weightage units. Don't leave any single information from the text. So complete the NCERT text information for the corresponding unit, so in a better way. Whatever the doubts you have in that, in understanding, you can have a discussion. So that will help to solve the doubts. With this small information, we'll move on to the discussion of questions. So again, I'm insisting. So if you want to score a very good mark, especially the 1-mark questions, you need to be very smart and you should be very clear in understanding the question. So smartness in understanding the question is very much important because you need to think in a faster way to respond to the question. If the concepts are clear, then only the understanding of the question will be easy. Hence, give much importance to learn the concepts. Don't barehead the content. So give importance to learn. So learning will help to remember the concepts. Okay, with this, we'll go for the first model paper question from the PU board given. So we are discussing 10 model paper questions, and from March 2014, the supplementary papers as well as the main exam papers till the March 2020. So there are more number of papers, nearly 27 different papers we have in the material. So for 1 mark weightage, 2 questions from each paper, nearly 54 questions will be there. So majority of the questions will be repeated. As though it is repeated, so it will be helpful in understanding what is the weightage of that concept in examination point of view. Okay. Now we'll move to the first model paper. The first 2 questions from the model paper 1. Here MQP refers to model question paper. So it is from the first model question paper, question number 1 and question number 2. Now we'll consider the question number 1. It's a direct question. Name a colligative property. So we know that there are 4 colligative properties. It is relative lowering of vapor pressure, elevation of boiling point, depression of freezing point, and osmotic pressure. Any one you can write, as it is an optional based question. So that is from the 4, any one you can write. So recall the colligative property information also. So when you are understanding the question, we know that colligative properties are those which depends only on the number of solute particles present, but not on the nature of the solute particles. Irrespective of its nature, only on the number of solute particles, the colligative properties, that is these 4 colligative properties, remember, is a main understanding of colligative properties. So give importance to remember, as a question is name a colligative property, any one you can specify. So that is the first question from the model paper 1. Now question number 2. What does the Van 't Hoff factor I for a solute in a solvent account for? So this is related to the significance of I they are asking. So we know that I, or the Van 't Hoff factor, is given as a correction term for the colligative properties to give any abnormal molar masses if it is seen in the solution. If a particular solute is having I value is equal to 1, then it gives the information that the solute does not undergo any dissociation or association like glucose, sucrose, or urea. If I is less than 1, it indicates that the solute undergoes association in the solution like that of acetic acid. If I is greater than 1, it shows that the solute undergoes dissociation in the solution. That is, any ionic compounds you can take, for example NaCl with Van 't Hoff factor 2. Now what are these I values equal to 1, less than 1 or greater than 1 signifies? So whether a solute undergoes dissociation or association in the given solvent. So hence the significance, or what is the Van 't Hoff factor I for a solute in a solvent account for? It is whether it undergoes any dissociation or association. It refers to a solute. Hope the answer is clear. As it is 1 mark question, the answer which is required should be in terms of key words or in key explanation sentence. Give the importance for value words so in the answer. So hope this answer is clear. So we'll consider the questions from second model paper, model question paper 2. It is question number 3 and 4. Question number 3. State Henry's law. As we have learned in the unit, there are 2 important laws, Henry's law and Raoult's law. Henry's law explains the solubility of gases in liquids, whereas the Raoult's law explains for liquid-liquid solution. So only 2 laws in the unit, so which are very important. Remember with their statement and mathematical form. And for Henry's law, you can remember the application, and for Raoult's law, the classification of solutions based on the Raoult's law concept you can remember as ideal solutions and non-ideal solutions. Now state Henry's law. So we know that the solubility of a gas in a liquid is directly proportional to the partial pressure of the gas present above the surface of the liquid. So this is the information given from the statement of Henry's law. So Henry's law can be stated in 2 ways that we discussed. Either you can use the word solubility, or instead of solubility you can use mole fraction term to express the concentration. Hence Henry's law can be stated as, at a given temperature or at a constant temperature, the solubility of a gas or the mole fraction of a gas in a solution is directly proportional to It's a partial pressure present above the surface of the liquid. It's a direct question, so you can remember. Next, question number 4, again from the model question paper 2. Name any concentration term which is independent of temperature. When we are discussing with expression of concentration term, I have given the significance of temperature there for the measurements. So you can recall a concept. I have told that those concentration terms which have volume in their measurement, that is in the calculation of a respective concentration term or expression of concentration, if there is volume term in it, then only it depends on the temperature. Otherwise, it will not depend on the temperature. So such important concentration terms, you can give it as example. So we discussed percentage composition. In that, mass to mass percentage can be taken, so which is independent of temperature. Mass to volume or volume to volume you cannot take because it varies with temperature. Mass to mass percentage is one. Next, mole fraction. So as we know, both in numerator and denominator, in the mole fraction, it is number of moles are related, which are mass divided by molar mass of the substance. Hence, there is no volume in its measurement. Hence, again, it is independent of temperature. Then, molality. Molality is defined as number of moles of solute present in kg of solvent or per kg of solvent. So again, in the numerator, number of moles, it is mass divided by molar mass, and in the denominator, again it is mass of solvent in kg. So as there is no volume term in molality, again it is independent of temperature. You can specify any one from the three, either mass to mass percentage, mole fraction, or molality. If the question is name a concentration term which depends on temperature, you can easily take molarity, as molarity is defined as number of moles of solute divided by volume of solution in liters. So volume term is there in the expression term. As volume varies inversely with molarity, so temperature varies directly with volume. So the same information you can give. Molarity varies inversely with temperature. So that you can remember simultaneously with this overlapping concept. So those concentration terms which are independent of temperature is mass to mass percentage, mole fraction, and molarity. If it is dependent on temperature, you can think with a simple one. So it is molarity, and how it varies means it varies inversely. Molarity varies inversely with temperature. So both you can think once the concept is up here. Next, we'll move on with the model question paper 3. Question number 5 and 6 are from the model question paper 3. Now, if we observe the question number 5, what is the effect of increase in pressure on the solubility of gas in a liquid? Now, we discussed factors affecting the solubility. Again, it is very important topic in the unit. We discussed for dissolution of solid in liquid and solubility of gas in liquid. You can recall for both. Now, with respect to the question, we'll answer at last. We know that solubility of solids in liquid may be exothermic or endothermic with respect to temperature as a factor. Whereas pressure, if it is considered there, so pressure has no effect on solubility of solids in liquid. So because both are practically non-compressible in the nature. Whereas with respect to the question now, the solubility of gas in a liquid, that is the significance of Henry's law. If pressure increases, that is the partial pressure of the gas above the surface of the liquid is more, the solubility of the gas will be more. So hence, pressure varies directly with the solubility. Instead of solubility, the expression term mole fraction we have taken. Hence, mole fraction varies directly with pressure, or solubility varies directly with pressure. Hence, if solubility increases or pressure increases, solubility also increases. A directly varying relationship we can observe here. So recall for both dissolution of solid in liquid also you can recall, dissolution or solubility of gas in liquid also you can recall. Only two concepts we have in understanding the factors affecting the solubility. Once a question comes, you think with both. If any confusion, so it will help in recalling, then you can give the right answer. Next question from the same model question paper 3. It is question number 6. Components of non-ideal binary solution cannot be completely separated by fractional distillation. Why? A very interesting question. You need to recall from a concept of first PUC, that is purification techniques, what is fractional distillation is. We know that normal simple distillation is used to separate the liquid mixture which are having more difference in their boiling point. Whereas if their boiling point is having a slight difference, you cannot use simple distillation for their separation. In such cases, a fractionating column is used by fractional distillation technique. So based on the fractional distillation before condensation, that is allowing the vapors through fractionating column before their condensation, so will make the separation of the liquids as though their boiling point is having a slight difference, that we discussed in the first PUC syllabus. Now you think with non-ideal binary solutions, they cannot be completely separated by fractional distillation. If they're having slight difference only, fractional distillation will separate the liquid mixture. But these non-ideal solutions cannot be separated by using that fractional distillation technique also. So what is the problem in that? So we'll give the significance of what is a non-ideal solution exactly is. That is non-ideal binary solution. So non-ideal binary solutions refers to the solution showing positive deviation from Raoult's law and the solution showing negative deviation from Raoult's law. So positive and negative deviation showing solutions, so which does not obey the Raoult's law, so are referred to as non-ideal binary solution. There we discussed the concept in the difference, you can recall. Ideal solutions forms, that is does not forms azeotropic mixture, whereas non-ideal solutions, so positive deviation showing solution will form minimum boiling azeotrope, negative deviation showing solution will form maximum boiling azeotropes that we mentioned there. Now what is azeotropic mixture? If you recall, you can answer the question. Now what is azeotropic mixture? The azeotropic mixtures are those which have a specific composition. As a result of that, their composition is same in the solution phase as well as in the vapor phase. As their composition is same in solution phase or in liquid phase and in vapor phase, so they boil at a constant temperature. Hence, as though the liquids are different, you cannot separate them through distillation technique or fractional distillation technique. So because they boil at a constant temperature due to azeotropic mixture. Hence the answer in keywords is azeotropic mixture. With the exact explanation, you can understand what is azeotropic mixture and why due to azeotropic mixture they are not separated by fractional distillation. The keyword for the answer, you can specify azeotropic mixture, you will get the mark, but understand the concept. What is azeotropic mixture is the exact remembering concept of the respective question. So as azeotropic mixtures have same composition in solution phase as well as in the vapor phase, so they boil at a constant temperature. Hence, they cannot be separated by fractional distillation technique. Will be the detailed answer. Next, question number 7, again from the model question paper 4 now. What are isotonic solutions? What are isotonic solutions? You can recall, based on osmotic pressure, we learned 3 types of solutions. It is hypertonic solution, hypotonic solution, and isotonic solution. Isotonic solutions are those whose osmotic pressure is same. If 2 solutions have same osmotic pressure, then they are referred to as isotonic solution. That is what it is asked in the question. So you can recall along with that hypertonic, hypotonic with examples you recall will be helpful to remember. Hypertonic solutions are those in which a solution has greater osmotic pressure than the other. Hypotonic solutions are those in which a solution has lesser osmotic pressure than the other. As a result, in isotonic solution, the cell size remains same. In hypertonic solution, cells will shrink. In hypotonic solution, cell size increases or cell swells. So with this information, you can recall whenever the concept comes, the related overlapping concepts and all you try to recall, so that any confusion there will be avoided and you will have a better understanding of the questions. Example also you can think, it is our blood cells are isotonic with a saline with a 0.9% mass by volume. That is 0.9% of NaCl in water will be a saline concentration, so which is isotonic with our blood cells. The same you can think with hypertonic, hypotonic with greater than 0.9% NaCl solution and lesser than 0.9% NaCl solution. As a result, blood cells size decreases in hypotonic, so which is having greater than 0.9% NaCl solution, and lesser than 0.9% NaCl solution, blood cell swells because it is hypotonic solution for it. Okay. With this, we'll consider next question. So it is from the model question paper 4, and this type of question is very frequently asked type from the previous year, as well as the questions are important for competitive exam also. So, but it is not only this part. So a continuation of this with colligative property problems will be asked there in the competitive exams, or only van 't Hoff factor and relating them to the colligative property main equations as a comparable points can also be expected there. Now we'll consider the question now. What is the van 't Hoff factor for potassium sulfate in very dilute solution, very dilute aqueous solution? So I have not mentioned here the formula to calculate and all. Directly the answer is specified. You can recall with I to calculate the van 't Hoff factor. I is calculated as number of particles after dissociation divided by number of particles before dissociation. I have told to remember A by B. The first alphabet A in the numerator divided by the second alphabet, it is B. A for after, B for before, whether it is dissociation or association. Now we know that all these compounds, if the name is given, you can recall their formula because these are simple ion containing inorganic salts. Everyone can relate their formulas. Potassium sulfate. Sulfate is SO4 minus 2. To balance the minus 2 charge, so there should be plus 2. That means 2 K plus are required for balancing one sulfate. Hence K2SO4 is a formula. So if the formula is not given, the name of the compound is given, you need to recall. So by understanding the simple formulas of ions, so that and all we learned in salt analysis, the classification of simple ions as cations and anions. You can recall all those and you remember their formulas. Ionic charges, that is valencies, you remember, so which is helpful in giving its correct formula. So after dissociation, you don't concentrate their charge, you concentrate on their numbers. That is, what are the number of ions formed, that is number of cations plus number of anions you try to observe. Now K2SO4, once it dissociate, will produces 2K plus and 1 sulfate. It is before adding in the solvent, it is 1 mole of K2SO4. After addition, it is giving 2 mole of potassium, 1 mole of sulfate, hence 2 plus 1, 3. So it is after dissociation, it is 3 divided by before dissociation, it is 1. Hence I is equal to 3 by 1. So I is equal to 3. Hope it is clear. The same example we discussed in the class. So it is 2 plus 1, 2 potassium ion, 1 sulfate ion, together 3 particles after dissociation divided by 1 particle of K2SO4 before dissociation. Makes a van 't Hoff factor I value is equal to 3, shows that it undergoes dissociation in the solution. We'll move with the next model paper, model question paper 5. Aquatic animals are more comfortable in cold water rather than in warm water. Give reason. It's a direct application on Henry's law. If you observe the question clearly, you can understand. Aquatic animals are more comfortable in cold water rather than in warm water. Here the temperature you can think. Cold water will have lower temperature. Warm water will have higher temperature. So temperature and solubility you can think. So we know that aquatic animals to sustain, that is to live in water environment, they require the dissolved oxygen for their survival. So we know that solubility of a gas in any liquid is always exothermic in nature. As dissolution of gas in a liquid is exothermic, so it is increase in temperature decreases the solubility of a gas. Hence, warm water will have increased temperature, will make decreased solubility of oxygen gas in the water. Hence, as a result, so the animals or aquatic organisms cannot able to utilize them properly. Hence, their life will be under threat. Whereas cold water, if you consider, the temperature is lowered, as a result solubility of the gas increases. As solubility of the gas is increased, so the animals will have more dissolved oxygen there, hence their life will be under comfortable state. So that is what the detailed explanation. So it explains on the solubility of gas in a liquid, you can think. So along with the solubility of a gas in a liquid, temperature factor you need to understand. Hope the answer is clear. To make the dissolved oxygen more, or cold water contains more dissolved oxygen, so rather than in warm water, so their life is comfortable in cold water rather than in warm water. Next, what is hypertonic solution? Already we discussed earlier. The solution which has a greater osmotic pressure than the other is called as hypertonic solution. Next, from the model paper 6, mention the SI unit of boiling point elevation constant, both for Kb and Kf, ebullioscopic constant or molal elevation constant, cryoscopic constant or molal depression constant. For both the SI unit is same, it is Kelvin kg per mole. You can remember that will be a direct unit based question. Next, give an example for a solution liquid in solid. As we discussed earlier, binary solutions based on their physical state are classified into 9 different types: solid solutions, liquid solutions, gas solutions. In all the 3 main types, the respective solution solvent will be the same, but solute may be solid, liquid or gas. You can recall those 9 types of solution. So which type of solution is this? So the first given component will be always the solute. The second component given like this will be the solvent. So first physical phase will be solute, next will be solvent. Now it is a solid solution, but liquid is a solute. You can consider amalgam. So liquid mercury present in any solid metal as a homogeneous mixture is an example of solid solution. So where the solute is liquid. So any amalgam of mercury and sodium it is mentioned here. So you can think amalgam of mercury with any other solid metal also. Next question. The question from the model question paper 7. Define ebullioscopic constant. So a continuation, you can remember easily. So as we know that delta TB is equal to Kb into m. So here another cryoscopic constant it is there. Delta Tf is equal to Kf into m. You can observe this. Similarly, for ebullioscopic constant in elevation of boiling point, delta Tb is equal to Kb into m. So you can think how to define that constant. Either Kf or Kb can be defined as the respective colligative property will be equal to a respective colligative property when m is equal to 1. Hence, ebullioscopic constant Kb will define as delta Tb, that is elevation of boiling point, when the molality of the solute in solution is 1 or m is equal to unity. If it is as for Kf, you can answer the same, cryoscopic constant or molar depression constant. So Kf is defined as depression of freezing point when the molality of the solute in the solution is 1. Here, ebullioscopic constant is defined as elevation of boiling point when the molality of the solute in the solution is 1 or unity. So will be clear. So the next question, this we have solved in our regular class, the problem. Just you can observe, a solution of an ester in benzene freezes at 0.84 Kelvin, below the freezing point of the solution. It is depression of freezing point to consider. So they have given delta TF value 0.84. What is the molality of the solution? If Kf of benzene is 5.12 Kelvin kg per mole. So Kf of benzene they have given, so which is 5.12. With this molality they have asked. With a simple rearrangement for molality, substituting the delta Tf and Kf value, the answer is coming as 0.16 mole per kg. This we have solved in our regular solving the problems. You can recall that. Next question from the model question paper 8, 15th question. What happens to vapor pressure of water if a tablespoon of sugar is added to it? We know that water will be a pure solvent before addition of this tablespoon of sugar. The added sugar acts as a non-volatile solute to this volatile solvent. We know that addition of non-volatile solute to volatile solvent always decreased its vapor pressure. As a result, vapor pressure decreases due to addition of tablespoon of sugar addition in water. Next, from the same question paper, 8th model question paper, 16th question. Two liquids A and B boils at 145 degrees Celsius, 190 degrees Celsius respectively. Which of them has higher vapor pressure at 80 degrees Celsius? So leave that 80 degree now. First you think with two liquids. Now liquid A is having 145 degrees Celsius, liquid B is having its boiling point 190 degrees Celsius. Now you tell, so which liquid will have more vapor pressure, or in terms of which is more volatile liquid? The liquid which has a lower boiling point will be more volatile, or a liquid which has higher boiling point will be more volatile? It's a simple concept. We know that those liquids which are less volatile or non-volatile, their boiling point will be always high, because to make its less vapor pressure to become equal to atmospheric pressure, more temperature is needed. Hence, liquid B with 190 degree is less volatile or non-volatile when compared with a liquid A with boiling point 145 degrees Celsius. Hence, if you take the two liquids separately and if you keep on heating, when the temperature attained 80 degrees Celsius, they will not boil at 80 degrees Celsius. But as liquid A is more volatile than the liquid B, its vapor pressure will be higher at 80 degrees Celsius when compared to liquid B. I will repeat, try to understand clearly. As the liquid A boiling point is less, it is more volatile when compared to liquid B. As a result, at 80 degrees Celsius, so this more volatile liquid A will have more vapor pressure. Okay, we'll continue with the next model paper now. It is from the 9th model question paper. What will happen, question number 17, what will happen if pressure greater than osmotic pressure is applied on the solution separated by semi-permeable membrane from the solvent? Again, you can think with the osmosis process, what happens with the movement of solvent. Now you have a particular solution. So what will happen if pressure greater than osmotic pressure, if you are applying on a solution separated by semi-permeable membrane from the solvent? If the osmotic pressure is there, then it prevents the entry of solvent from solvent side to solution side. Suppose if you apply the pressure greater than osmotic pressure on the solution, the solvent in the solution will move out of the solution. That is what reverse osmosis takes place. The answer is reverse osmosis takes place, or solvent moves from solution side to solvent side. Next question. State Raoult's law of a solution containing non-volatile solute. Again, it's a direct question. So Raoult's law states for a two volatile liquids, the partial vapor pressure of each component is directly proportional to its mole fraction present in the solution. That is, P is equal to P naught mole fraction. whether it is for first component or second component, you can consider the respective pressure terms and mole fraction term. Next question from the model question paper 10. Van 't Hoff factor I is greater than 1 for aqueous solution containing potassium chloride. Why? So answer is simple. Potassium chloride is ionic compound. Before adding, it is 1 mole. After adding, due to dissociation, as potassium ion and chloride ion will become 2 particles in the solution. Hence, Van 't Hoff factor I is equal to 2 for this, which is greater than 1, shows that it undergoes dissociation in the solution. The answer is, so KCl undergoes dissociation in solution. Model question paper 10 again. Next question. 20th question. What is the SI unit of molar elevation constant Kb for a solvent? So it is repeated type, Kelvin kg per mole. Now we'll consider the question from the previous years. 21st question from March 2014. Define the term molarity, which is a direct concentration term. Molarity is defined as number of moles of solute divided by volume of solution in liters. From the same year, mention the enthalpy of mixing value to form an ideal solution. We know that enthalpy of mixing is 0 for ideal solution. Both volume change, delta V mix, enthalpy change, delta H mix, so will be equal to 0 for ideal solution. Next, from the supplementary paper 2014, what is binary solution? It's a direct question. Bi refers to 2. Solution which contains one solute and one solvent is a binary solution. It is only 2 components. So one component is solute, another component is solvent. One solute, one solvent containing solutions, or 2 components containing solutions are called as binary solutions. Next question from the same supplementary. Define the term molarity, which is repeated from the same year final exam, March 2014. It is number of moles of solute present in a liter of a solution. Now we'll move to questions from the year 2015, March 2015 first. Question number 25 and 26. At a given temperature and pressure, nitrogen gas is more soluble in water than helium gas. Which one of them has higher value of Kh? Its mathematical form of the Henry's law, you can think P is equal to Kh into mole fraction. So Kh and mole fraction on the same side, right hand side, hence Kh and mole fraction, they are inversely related. If Kh value is more, the solubility will be less. If Kh value is less, solubility will be more. Now they have given here, at a given temperature and pressure, nitrogen gas is more soluble in water than helium gas. Explains helium solubility is less, which has higher value of Kh. So Kh will have higher value for a particular component which is having lesser solubility, because both are inversely related. Hence helium has higher value of Kh due to lower solubility. Next question. On mixing equal volumes of acetone and ethanol, what type of deviation from Raoult's law is expected? So we have learnt acetone ethanol mixture or ethanol acetone mixture is showing positive deviation from Raoult's law. So because of formation of a weaker interaction, so AB interaction is weaker between ethanol and acetone than acetone-acetone, ethanol-ethanol interaction. So due to that weaker interaction seen in the solution, so it shows a positive deviation from Raoult's law. Next, supplementary of 2015. On what factor the value of colligative property depends? We know that it depends only on number of moles of solute particles, but not on the nature of solute particle. A direct question. One more supplementary question from the 2015 year. Give an example for liquid solution in which solute is gas. Solute as a gas, you take any solution, soda water or soda bottles, you can consider. So any cold beverages where the dissolved carbon dioxide as a gas is present as solute in the liquid solvent? Carbonated drinks or soda water, you can relate it as example. Next, from March 2016, question number 29 and 30. State Raoult's law for liquid mixture, a repeated question. Define molality. It is number of moles of solute per kg of solvent. Next, in the year 2016, due to leak, that is leakage of chemistry question paper, the exam was considered for second time. A re-exam was conducted. Hence, the April 2016 there so refers to the another exam which is conducted in the same year. Name the law behind the dissolution of carbon dioxide gas in soft drinks under high pressure. A direct question, Henry's law. Next question. Ornamental gold containing copper is an example for what type of solution? Ornamental gold. We know that pure gold will not be hard, so hard to mold into different shapes as we are going to see in the ornamental designs. And copper is added in it in a homogeneous solution form to give the hardness. And always ornamental gold, so whatever 22 karat, 24 karat gold you are going to speak with or what you have heard, so they are with copper, so they are made for ornamental designs. Hence ornamental gold is a solid metal alloy. So hence it is solid in solid solution. Next, from supplementary 2060. What are ideal solutions? A direct question. The solution which obeys Raoult's law are called as ideal solution. From the same July 2016. What is the effect of a rise in temperature on solubility of gases in liquid? Now we know that solubility of gas in a liquid is exothermic process. Hence increase in temperature decreases solubility. Effect is that increase in temperature decreases solubility, as it is exothermic process will be the reason. Next, from 2017 March. How does molarity change with temperature? As we discussed earlier, molarity varies inversely with volume. Volume varies directly with temperature, and molarity varies inversely with temperature. So as temperature increases, volume expands, hence molarity decreases. Next question from the same year, March 2017. 10 ml of liquid A is mixed with 10 ml of liquid B. The volume of the resultant solution is 19.9 ml. What type of deviation expected from Raoult's law? You can think 10 ml, if it is mixed with 10 ml, resultant should be 10 plus 10, 20 ml. Delta V, overall change in volume. So V2 minus V1. So it is before mixing 10 plus 10, 20. After mixing expected 10 plus 10, 20. Hence 20 minus 20 should be 0. Volume change will be 0 if a solution is ideal. If it is less, explains that delta V is less than 0. Delta V mix is less than 0 due to strong attractive forces seen between solute and solvent than solute-solute, solvent-solvent interaction. Hence delta V lesser than 0 will explain negative deviation from Raoult's law. Delta V, if it is greater than 0, then the resultant total volume will be not 20 ml, will be greater than 20 if it is 20.1 for example. So then it will be a positive deviation showing solution. So as the volume is less than 10 plus 10, 20, hence it shows a negative deviation from Raoult's law. So in the same year, whatever the final exam papers prepared in 3 different sets, the 2 set of papers they have given for preparatory exams in the next year. So that questions I have added here. So that is March 2017 set 2 paper and set 3 paper. It is a revision paper set for the final exam. Give an example for a liquid solution in which solute is a liquid. So liquid solution means solvent is liquid. Solute is also liquid, is any miscible liquids you can take. Ethanol in water is the best example what we discussed. Next question. What is the Van 't Hoff factor I for complete dissociation of potassium sulfate in a very dilute solution? Already we discussed this example. 2 moles of potassium, 1 mole of sulfate. After dissociation 3, before dissociation 1, hence Van't factor I is equal to 3. Define molality. Molality is defined as, again it is a repeated question, number of moles of solute per kg of solvent. Next question. A mixture of chloroform and acetone forms a solution with negative deviation from Raoult's law. Give reason. Negative deviation to cause the new interaction should be stronger than solute-solvent interaction. You can consider here chloroform, acetone interaction if you see. And if you see in chloroform-acetone interaction, the new interaction formed will be due to hydrogen bonds. A strong attractive forces are seen, hence a negative deviation from Raoult's law. The answer is chloroform and acetone will form stronger attractive force in solution when compared with chloroform and acetone interactions. Hence, it shows negative deviation from Raoult's law. Next, supplementary of 2017. State Raoult's law for a binary solution for 2 volatile liquid components. A repeated question. Only 2 laws are there. You can remember it. Henry's law and Raoult's law. It's for a mixture of 2 volatile liquids. The partial vapor pressure of each component will be directly proportional to its mole fraction present in the solution. Next question from the supplementary paper. Van't factor for a solution is more than 1. What is the conclusion drawn from it? It is the significance of I value. I greater than 1 indicates that the solute undergoes dissociation in the solution. Next, from 2018 March paper, state Henry's law. So again, the statement of the law. So at a constant temperature, we know that the solubility of a gas in a liquid is directly proportional to partial pressure of the gas present above the surface of the liquid. Either the solubility or mole fraction you can take. Next, Van't factor for a solution is less than 1. What is the conclusion drawn from it? Again, the significance on Van't factor. It is less than 1 indicates solute undergoes association in the solution. So again, another set of paper set for the March 2018 exam. They have given for preparatory in 2019 to conduct. So that paper I have added here. Define osmotic pressure. It's a direct question. We know that the minimum extra pressure applied on the solution side in order to prevent the entry of solvent into the solution is called as osmotic pressure. You can recall the definition there. Next, state Henry's law, which is a repeated, that is at a constant temperature, the solubility of a gas in a liquid is directly proportional to partial pressure of the gas present above the surface of liquid. Next, supplementary paper of 2018. Question number 47 and 48. Question number 47. In a binary solution, mole fraction of one component is 0.068. What is the mole fraction of another component? I think we have taken this in solving the numerical problems. Again, we know that sum of mole fraction of any components in the solution will be always equal to 1. Now here 1 mole fraction is given, other they are asking us to calculate. Now the sum of 2 is equal to 1. By substituting 1 mole fraction value, another 1 value is calculated with simple rearrangement, and the answer is 0.932. Hope the solution is clear. Next one, supplementary 2018, state Henry's law, which is repeated. So that is at constant temperature, solubility of gas in a liquid, or you can consider the mole fraction of gas in a liquid is directly proportional to partial pressure of the gas present above the surface of liquid. Next, from 2019, March 2019 paper. How does the size of blood cell change when placed in an aqueous solution containing more than 0.9% sodium chloride? So the same example we discussed. So greater than 0.9% NaCl solution is hypertonic. Hence, blood cell will loses its water. As a result, cell size decreases. Cell shrinks, diminishes, or decreased in its size. Next question. How does the volume change on mixing of two volatile liquids to form an ideal solution. As we know, for ideal solution, delta V is equal to 0. Volume change after mixing will be equal to 0 because AB interactions are same as that of AA and BB type. Next, supplementary of 2019. Write the unit of molality of a solution. Molality is number of moles of solute divided by mass of solvent in kg. Number of moles, mole per kg. Supplementary of 2019, 52 question. At a given temperature, oxygen gas is more soluble in water than nitrogen. Which one of them has higher value of kH? We have seen the similar question. The one which is having less solubility or low solubility will have higher value of kH. Oxygen is more soluble means it will have lower value of kH. Nitrogen is having less solubility, hence it has higher value of kH. As the answer is nitrogen gas. And the last questions from March 2020, the last conducted exam. What is the Van't Hoff factor, the value of Van't Hoff factor for K2SO4? Again, the example is repeated. It is 3. I value is equal to 3. The last question. 10 ml of liquid A is mixed with 10 ml of liquid B. So liquid A is 10 ml, liquid B is also 10 ml. The volume of the resultant is 19.9 ml. What type of deviation is expected from Raoult's law? Again, this question you can observe, it is a repeated question from the previous year. It is negative deviation from Raoult's law because 19.9 seen is less than 20, which is expected to show the ideal behavior. As a volume change is less than expected, so then it shows that a negative deviation from Raoult's law. So with this, we completed 1 mark questions. Now all the remaining numericals and all we solved in the classes. You try to go through with the continuation of question bank of long questions as in the previous year examination. Any doubts in that we'll discuss in our classes. Hope the solution understandings are clear. If you have still any confusions, so you can send the queries, so we'll try to answer for it. Thank you. Thank you for watching.